Honestly, since that last episode, I have wrote down a solid 20 possibilities for the Rumble Dumble Jam.
Every one of them has Little Mac.
Yes, and winning.
Fuck Little Mac.
Brian, did you tell Josh or Andy what Rumble Dumble actually means in the Urban Dictionary?
Oh no, I don't want to know. Like not because I'm afraid, but I don't want to actually know like a real thing. I just want it to be this.
Oh no, you want
to
know. You want to know.
Do I?
You do.
I didn't realize it was an actual thing.
Neither did I. I just searched Rumble Dumble Jam, and I saw that like our podcast came up as like the #1 result. And I was like, oh, fucking sweet. And then the second result was what Rumble Dumble is in the Urban Dictionary. Turns out a Rumble Dumble is the result of having a baby with an earthquake.
Wait, what?
Wait.
That is legit what the Urban Dictionary says.
The earthquake was one of the reproducing partners in that relationship?
Yes. That is a Rumble Dumble.
It's used in a sentence like this. Dumble. I was having a good time with that earthquake until I came. Now I may have a Rumble Double to deal with.
All right, now here's the obvious question. Do you think Ian knew that before he seemingly spontaneously spit it out?
I texted the screenshot that Mike sent me to Ian.
Yeah.
Because the best part of this is it's posted by Anti-Mike.
Like, it's from like 2011 or something.
2004.
2004. It's even further back.
What?
Rumble Dumble goes back to 2004, so this isn't some shit that I made up.
So I texted that to Ian. I said, I assume your alias is Anti-Mike? This seems like a definition you'd make up. He said, You got me. I've been planning this Rumble Double joke for 14 years.
He's just been waiting for his opportunity.
wait. I'm looking at the screenshot, Mike. I noticed that it has like the like-dislike option.
Yeah.
It only has 4 dislikes. There are no likes for Rumble Dumble.
4 likes and 0 dislikes. Or 4 dislikes and 0 likes.
Right, correct. And then when I pointed out to Ian that I thought it was him because of the Anti-Mike username.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to have to message Anti-Mike and tell him to post negative definitions of Kong. Hello and welcome to another episode of Bry Guy and his Super Friends. I'm your host, Brian Lebick. Joining me for this episode is Andy Stoles.
What's up, podcast people?
And Mike Bradley.
Hello.
And finally, Josh Zorch.
Teachers, grab your spell bags. We will find this freaking troll, and we will kick its freaking ass.
Should I know
Does anybody get that? If you don't know what that is from, then we need to be better friends, and we're going to schedule another movie day really soon.
Son of a bitch. I think I'm out of the loop. Anybody? Any takers? Andy? Mike?
I'm not even going to tell you what it's from. I'm going to leave that to the listeners to chime in on the comment section, and those who can identify it without Googling it
are now my best friends.
Oh, yeah.
How are you going to know if they don't Google it?
Because wizard integrity.
Fair enough.
Mixed up quotes really fuck with my brain. Oh, god damn.
Okay, so seriously, if you don't know what it's from, and it doesn't sound familiar enough, you might have seen where it came from, before, but if it doesn't sound familiar, I'm telling you, we are going to literally schedule something. It's going on the calendar. You guys are gonna freaking love it.
Fair enough. We'll see if anybody actually comments on this.
Is this like a major, like, something I should be, like, ashamed of myself about right now that I'm not remembering, or what?
No, but you will hate yourself a little later after seeing it, if you're not familiar with it, because you'll be angry that you have gone so long without exploring and experiencing the happiness of it.
I think you've hyped this up pretty much now.
Oh, that's
Making
fine.
my brain
That's
hurt.
fine. This is something that it never disappoints to someone who's not seen it before.
Can we get something like an answer in the messages so it's not on the show?
He can tell us after we're done recording. If he wants to give it
Okay.
away, we'll see.
Fair.
Maybe
He might play it too close to the chest for that. All right, so on tap for this episode, we will be talking about the latest trailer for the next movie in the wizarding world of Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. And since this is a Harry Potter-centric episode, before we dive right in, I do want to make it a point to intro Josh's Harry Potter intro clip, The Magic Minute.
Oh hell yeah!
So, it's definitely going to be longer than a minute, and the intro tells you that when we do it, but we have this. It's always fun to use. It's awesome, so we're going to throw it in right now.
Hello, wizards, squibs, and muggles alike. It's time for a Magic Minute, where we talk about Harry Potter for as long as we need to. If you're thinking, hey, that's not a minute then, well, you can stick it up your whomping willow.
All right, so we're going to get all Harry Pottered out today. After I posted this trailer on the Facebook page, I actually didn't think Josh would want to watch this. He's been hiding from most movie trailers and marketing lately for some other stuff.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if he's actually going to do this or go in completely cold, but I guess you couldn't help yourself, and it got the better of you?
Okay, so that's a fair question. I thought about it, and two reasons that I did watch it. Number one, yes, sheer curiosity was too strong in this case. But I thought about it a little longer, and I think it occurred to me that, like, some of the other things I've been trying to avoid, which I've still done so far. So I got 6 weeks left. And thank God for Avengers. Thank God they moved it up one more week, so it's one less week that I have to try to avoid things. I haven't basically taken in any media on that whatsoever. Trailers, previews.
Tomorrow's going to be a fun day to keep your head in the sand.
So we should really start a Tag Josh campaign in everything Avengers.
Don't make it worse.
Oh, that's how you get on the dick list. But some other things were I saw the first Ready Player One trailer, and then I didn't watch anything else. And so what I realized I was doing was if I had source material already, like in the case of Avengers, there's obviously like 19 movies before it. I already know somewhat what it's culminating to. With Ready Player One, I already read the book, so I didn't want preconceptions of what I was about to see because I already knew. With Fantastic Beasts, as we've said in past episodes, we don't have to beat that horse dead again, there is no source material. It's all brand new. So while I could go in completely cold and be as surprised as possible, whatever I do see, like I'd like to kind of get a little taste of it.
Okay.
It's not going to necessarily, like, what we're going to do here is exactly kind of what I think, you guys end up doing on your Star Wars trailer episodes. Kind of going through it beat by beat, dissecting the scenes, looking at the imagery, analyzing some of the words that are used and the voiceovers, any of the monologues. But it at least just gives an opportunity to just take wild guesses at things and, let's infer. But I don't think there's as much of an opportunity to have any major things spoiled for you, like for yourself in advance, because you don't have anything to compare it against yet, right? I don't have the second book, The Crimes of Grindelwald, to think about. Oh, I don't want to see that moment here yet, and I don't want to know what this creature is going to look like, or what this character may do in that moment, or there's nothing for me to judge it against. So what I will do, honestly, I will probably, after this, I'll try to avoid as much as I can.
Okay.
Because I do like, I found the last 6 months, I do like being very surprised is a very overused word in this, context, but it is nice
Fresh.
lately. Yeah. Like going just completely blind, so to speak, and just fresh and not, there's definitely, after being inundated with media for the last 10, 12 years in regards to films, and a lot of it was, I sought it out in a lot of ways, but it has been really refreshing to not have those trailer beat moments that you're waiting for, or those good punchlines that were used in a trailer. If you don't know those moments are coming, so there are some moments I think only, like especially a joke, that only work really well in a trailer.
Yeah.
And once you even see it on screen, after that, it definitely loses a lot of the effect. But if you never saw it in the first place, it works really, really well still in the film as a whole. So I'm gonna try to continue that for a while, see how long I can go with it.
Yeah, I think I've had this occur to me a couple times, I think, just from watching trailers, whereas you watch a trailer, and if it's for a movie that I really, really want to see, I'll watch the trailer multiple times, and then I'll get to a point where I remember certain things from the trailer, and I'll be watching the movie going, okay, when is this part going to happen? I haven't seen this part yet. When is this going to happen? And
Like,
that kind of stuff isn't it? Especially when...
Then you're watching Rogue One and the TIE fighter never raises
Right.
up to meet Jin on the platform, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That looked cool as shit.
And there's
it
a
didn't
lot of
happen,
stuff
and
like
it
that
pisses you
where
off.
the final cut of the movie is different than what they put in some of the marketing, and then you're really confused as to what the hell movie they marketed and what you got in the final cut.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always that too, but I don't know. I've done pretty well with Star Wars movies. I think I watched the first trailer, maybe the second, and then cut myself off. I feel like I wanted to try to do that with Avengers, and now that we've been hyping, there's another trailer hitting tomorrow. It'll be out by the time this podcast is posted. I am trying really hard to psych myself up into trying to avoid it. I think if you can make it through the first 24 hours and not watch it, you're okay. But it's going to be very, very difficult when it's everywhere.
As I said, I will happily be the lab rat, and I will tell you guys it's safe, and there's no like major spoilers or anything like that in the trailer, and you can go ahead and watch it, or if you should avoid it.
Yeah, I might need that.
Because I don't have the willpower on that one. Like 10 years in the making, any snippets and crumbs that they're giving me, I'm just going to eat them right up.
Brian, I would say honestly, it's not like it's everywhere depending on like what websites you go to on a regular basis or
Facebook.
Granted, but honestly, yes, same thing with the first trailer. Like, was it embedded on a lot of people's news feeds? And as I scrolled down, was it there? It is, but it's more avoidable than you would think. It is just the willpower to go past it. You do have to stop. Like it's not like, oh, I scrolled down for 2 seconds and oh no, now I can't escape this video, so either I have to close this web page or do a thing. Like, no, just keep going, it'll go away. So yeah, it's just willpower. If you can get past it, like you said, for like the first day or two, you'll be fine.
Josh, I do think we need to open some sort of support group for stuff like this. The spoiler-free culture.
You'd find marketing is actually much more avoidable if you actually try. It's not. It seems inescapable.
You still have to press play.
Yeah, like to some degree. Like for we're always inundated with stuff, but it is easier to avoid like a particular thing than one might think.
Andy, I want to get you in. Are you avoiding or watching the Avengers trailer when it drops tomorrow?
Probably avoiding. I haven't seen Black Panther yet, so I don't want any possible spoilers from that.
Yeah, I think there will probably be less spoilers than you'd think for Black Panther.
Well,
but I like the
I'm
result.
the lab rat. I will tell you. I will inform you whether it's okay or not. I will tag all three of you if you're okay to watch it. If you don't get tagged, you probably shouldn't watch the trailer.
That's a solid rule to go with.
I like that. Andy, I would say you better hurry up and get to Black Panther before it's out of theaters, but I don't think that's happening for a while. The damn thing might still be in theaters as Avengers comes out.
As long as it's making above $20 million a week, they're going to keep it in the theater.
Yeah.
Without it.
Yeah, I didn't think I was in danger of missing it.
Not yet. You're not. We'll let you know. But for now, I think you got at least another 3 weeks to get there.
My movie theater that actually Sarah and I just got done at. We put our 2 weeks in, and we're done now. But I think this past week, so I think Friday maybe of last week, or the schedule we're on right now that concludes today, I believe. I think we're finally getting rid of Jumanji.
Oh yeah, Jumanji's hung around a long time.
That has not happened. No,
Keeps making money.
Still in the top 10.
that's the strange part is, like, that used to happen all the time.
Jumanji comes out on video on Tuesday. Like, actual physical disc on video on Tuesday.
Yeah. You can rent it right now on Amazon.
Digital, yeah. I mean, the turnaround cycle had a lot to do with that, but it is really rare that a movie hangs on in theaters for more than 5 weeks anymore.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it used to be, like, easy, like, 4 to 5 months. Things would be out if it still, kind of performed well. So just, like, 3 months for it to hold on is pretty exceptional. And I think Black Panther potentially has that kind of staying power as well. I think that'll obviously be fueled by a lot of repeat viewings at that point. I don't think there's too many people left. I mean, the things crossed like 1 point something billion at least worldwide.
Yeah,
so
it's in the low 1 billion range.
So there's probably not that many people, low percentage of people who would see it who haven't yet. But a lot of repeat viewings could have that hanging around.
I mean, I really think
pretty
it's
close
smart.
to April 27th.
I think it's smart for them to keep it in the theater up through when Avengers releases, because I think there's probably some people that will want to see Black Panther again before seeing Infinity War.
I would love to do a double feature day.
Well,
if they threw it out there that you could go from one, not leave the theater unless you wanted to go get popcorn or something, and the
just
next
go right
one
in,
run right after it.
I've seen, I think it was AMC or something is hyping all Marvel MCU movies in a marathon, 31 or some hours worth of stuff leading up to Infinity War.
That sounds
not fun.
Long enough.
Yeah, I don't know when the break is or when you got a nap, but yeah, it's a thing that's gonna happen.
I just mean 31 hours. Is that all there really is with 18 movies?
I might have had them. I was pulling possibly the number.
No,
one.
I've seen 31. I've seen because somebody else is doing a 31-hour thing.
Okay,
and I think that's without Black Panther.
Okay,
well, still, you figure they've all got to be they've all got to be at least 2 hours.
They're all in that range, a couple minutes,
so
give or take.
Right, but 18 movies times 2 hours is 36 hours at least. And some of the longer ones will make up for the others that are clocking in at like right around 158 or 205.
Like Winter Soldier's a good 2 hours and 20. Same with Civil War, same with the first Avengers. So I don't know.
So maybe I'm throwing out the wrong number. I thought it was in the 30s somewhere when I saw.
No, I seen 31 as well.
Okay.
Like, I remember seeing the same number, and it just kind of surprised the hell out of me. Like, 31? That's it?
Well, let me ask this of the group. So, like, Andy, what is the longest you would say you have, like, consecutively sat for a movie session? Whether it was in a theater or at home, kind of doing a marathon day, with, like, reasonable breaks in between and whatnot. Like, what would you say is your, just, like, consecutive go-through?
Probably Lord of the Rings.
So about like 12, 13, 14 hours?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. You guys?
For me, I can tell you it was the day before Force Awakens.
Okay.
It was just all 6 Star Wars movies.
Okay.
Whatever that adds up to.
Were they was there like significant time in between, or was it like 20 minutes in between each one and there was just like mostly back to back?
Yeah, pretty back to back. Like, it was, maybe like an hour break for dinner, so I could go and cook and then come right back.
Okay.
But that would be about it.
Okay. Brian?
And I'm not even sure about that.
I mean, Lord of the Rings is probably the longest I've done. I've done some Star Wars movies. I haven't done all 6 in one viewing, because I don't think anybody would want to sit with me for that long and watch all those. Most I could do is 4 or 5 with someone and never actually finish all 6. Right. So yeah, probably the extended Lord of the Rings probably adds up time-wise longer than 5 Star Wars movies, so I'd have to say that one.
I have to retract my statement. Since, I mean, and it's sad that I'm retracting this on a Harry Potter episode, but I have done the 8 Harry Potters back-to-back.
Aha, so that was going to be my answer, and also as a way of swinging us back to the topic, which is last year, the Row House in Pittsburgh, they I don't know if they did it again, I think they did. They started like a 2-week, they call it like Harry Potter like festival, and they had a lot of like event programming and movie screenings, of course, but they had a 24-hour movie viewing ticket you could buy. And it was all 8 kind of back to back with a bit of time in between some of them. And some were shorter, some were more significant, but it was midnight to midnight. So we went down on like a Saturday at midnight. So starting at midnight was when Sorcerer's Stone started, and we were at the theater for 24 hours with like little breaks for like bathroom in between and some little activities in the hall and beer port next door. After like the second or third movie, there was like a breakfast break for maybe like 45 minutes to an hour, and then dinner break later and whatnot. But that was the longest I've ever done.
Did you guys sleep, or were you up the whole time?
I feel like we both slept at certain points. We tried. I mean, the
goblet of fire.
No, actually, so what had happened was we had intended to come home from work on that Friday and try to take a nap for a few hours. Get up around like 10:30, head down to Lawrenceville. But of course, best laid plans. Like anytime, it's like the night before you have to like go on a plane trip. Like inevitably you get home and there's more that you find that you need to take care of than you thought. And so we didn't really get to bed until maybe like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So we got like maybe an hour-ish like of good kind of solid sleep. And we had been up since like 6 a.m. Had like a regular work day, and then we go to the row house, and I made it all the way through Sorcerer's Stone. I slept through pretty much all of Chamber of Secrets. Because at that point it was like
it's the second longest movie. It's a good one to do it to.
Yeah, it was like 3 in the morning, like between like 3 and 5:30 in the morning. And then I was sad because I was still tired, and I missed probably intermittently half of Prisoner of Azkaban, which is arguably like my probably
it's my favorite.
second or third made out of the whole series. I feel like after that I was pretty awake for the rest of the day, because then the sun was up and we got to like go outside every couple hours. We had snacks, we had drinks and everything, so we're pretty good to go after that. But no, there were some people that I think made it the whole time. No, I could not do that. So when I think about, quickly, I'll just end with this. When I think about the idea of doing even 31 hours, even if it's Marvel, and it's got to be way longer than that. It just, the math doesn't add up. But
yeah,
if I can't conceive of doing anything longer than that. But
my honest guess is that that's 31 hours minus Black Panther and Thor. Minus Black Panther and Ragnarok.
Maybe, yeah. If it's minus 2 movies, I could maybe see that.
Yeah. That would be my guess, is minus those 2, 31 hours. I could do if I get some sleep in the middle. Like, if they pause it, like after Ultron, if they're like, okay, nap time.
Yeah, man, I don't know. If I had like a 3-day weekend, and I did like Friday, phase 1 Friday, phase 2 Saturday, maybe start phase 3 Saturday, finish phase 3 Sunday, like maybe, but that's just too damn long.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to do it continuous. I think if you break that up over a weekend, it's fine.
Yeah, I would say when Brian posted that, you could watch like all the movies in a row and get to Infinity War, Amy and I started trying to do it week to week.
Yep.
After week 3, like on the third week, I want to say it was like, so the third week would have been what, Thor?
Well, if you went by Brian's schedule, yeah.
Iron Man 2. Actually, not Thor.
Yeah.
Right?
No, his schedule was Iron Man 2, Thor.
I think I put Cap before Thor.
No,
Incredible Hulk.
Incredible Hulk. Iron Man 2, Incredible Hulk,
Cap,
Thor,
right.
Cap. Yeah. No.
So
Cap before
Cap,
Thor.
Cap
leads into
Thor,
Avengers.
Avengers. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so whatever it was, we got to the third weekend, and we were gonna like try and do it week to week, and we just kind of wound up that whole weekend just watching the rest of the movie. It just was like, so that just happened. Whoops.
Blew your load too soon.
Yeah. Well, and it's okay, because now I have a chance to do it again.
Oh, Jesus
Infinity
Christ.
War.
All right, so I'm going to steer us back around, because we have been talking probably for a good, 20 minutes, and we've yet to talk about this trailer.
This is what you get in a Magic Minute, folks.
So yeah, I think it's safe to say all three of these guys are probably bigger Harry Potter fans than me. And that's not to say I'm not, but maybe as blasphemous as it sounds, I've only ever seen the movies. I have not read the books. So I'm going to hand the reins over to Josh. I'm going to let him lead this since he might have a better idea to tell us what to focus on, what to pay attention to in this trailer. So Josh, this is all you.
Ah, sweet. Captain of the ship.
That's right.
So what I was going to do is just kind of walk through the trailer. But before we do that, I would say, I'm assuming everybody watched the trailer at least once?
No.
No.
All right, so I'm going to describe every scene for you and all the characters and like what they look like and what they're saying, how they're standing.
Their lapels.
All right, so it opens with a green screen that is a message from the MPAA telling us that the trailer is rated...
Okay.
He just took our dick move and raised it one dick move.
No, like, he went dick move plus 10. That's a...
Touche, Josh, touche.
So... Was there anything that we had like talked about previously when we had talked about like in prior episodes we had talked about some casting news and just like general news about the movie and stuff. So was there anything based on that or just like your impressions from the first Fantastic Beasts movie that like your wishes about moments or characters that you had hoped would show up and the trailer confirmed that they are there, any storylines that you think so like what before you would have watched it, was there anything that the trailer did show you that you were generally happy to see, like before we like dissect what that could mean and who those people are, etc. Was there anything that you were anticipating and you were hoping would be included that you like was confirmed by what you saw?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, anyone else? No, go ahead.
I was really looking forward to and hoping that Jacob would come back, and the trailer definitely showed that he was. So I'm pretty pumped about that.
I agree. I would say my only point, I would say at this mark, would be that I kind of wish the trailer featured a little more Jacob.
Yeah.
But I kind of get the gist of like where it's going, but like obviously the emphasis isn't as much on that, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it didn't look like the trailer was too humor oriented as it was I don't know, mystery oriented.
Okay.
And I think Jacob really plays to the humor part of the Fantastic Beasts.
That's true.
I'm also
That's
on
true.
board with less Jacob being a good thing in the trailer, because I want, being that he plays to the humor, I don't want the things that are humorous in a movie spoiled for me.
Right.
Like, I want them to be natural, I don't want to see them coming. Too many movies go put a trailer out, and the funniest things that happen in the movie are all in the trailer.
Right.
And I don't want that. And Jacob is going to be the funniest part of this movie. We know that already. So, let's keep that in the movie and out of the trailer. I'm all for that.
I mean, considering he has like 2 lines in this trailer and pretty much stole the trailer for me. He asks a question and he gets real excited that he's going to go somewhere, and that's enough for me. I'm like, great.
yeah. It's like I did a fist pump when I saw him.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And it also looks like Queenie's going to be in it.
Yeah.
Yes. Of course. I was happy to see her and Tina. I kind of hope that Tina gets to keep like an elevated, like integral role. I think in the first movie I ended up being surprised by just how important and pivotal that like her and Queenie were. I guess my preconceptions they would be somewhat like supporting but kind of ancillary characters. And I really dug that actress and her portrayal of that character, like what she created out of it. So I hope she's not like, I hope those characters are not now like pushed to the background I guess is what I'm saying.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how, from what I gather from the trailer, I think things are taking place in Europe. So it'll be interesting to see how,
at least,
because it was cool how they got Newt to America.
Mm-hmm.
You know how they played that whole plot out in the first movie. It'll be cool to see how they get Queenie, Tina, and Jacob to Europe, like why they're there and what they're there for. I think that's a pretty interesting thing to see how that plays out in the movie.
And we know at least a portion of it is going to take place in France,
right?
So that's something to take note of. Is it's not necessarily England. We may run into Beauxbatons here at some point.
Yeah, and that what that could come up in something else, a trailer beat that we'll get to later. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. What about you guys?
I think it's an interesting dynamic, shifting from something where people expected most of this franchise to take place in the U.S. Now it seems like this trailer at least focuses a lot on what's happening at Hogwarts and what's happening.
It could, yeah,
in Europe.
Yeah, and I like the idea that I think I heard, like, after the first movie especially, that not that significant or longer portions like might take place in a setting at Hogwarts or within England, but a lot of the geography is going to move around. The storyline, the overall 5-movie arc that they're going for, from what I think I can extrapolate from past known Harry Potter lore, if you will, is that by nature of the arc, it will be taking place in many different locations.
Yeah, and I would say that's, as simple as we know that they have custody, if you will, of Grindelwald in the U.S. And that they're not going to just turn him over or, hand him off just like the FBI wouldn't or anybody. I mean, they want their criminal, they want their prize, so we at least see what looks like a trial of some sort happening with Grindelwald. And you have to assume that part takes place in the U.S. So where does it go from there? Does Grindelwald escape? Does he... What happens after?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the governing magical communities doing their politics. We'll see if it's any different than European or American regular politics are, like the Muggle politics.
Interpol reacting with the FBI.
Right, except, Makusa and Ministry of Magic. So that'll be pretty interesting too.
Yeah, it's that's a good point that made me think something that when you watch the trailer, if you pay attention to the title cards that they use at various points, I almost got the impression that they're trying to rebrand this series as Wizarding World with subtitles, as opposed to Fantastic Beasts with subtitles.
See, I thought Wizarding World was going to be a franchisable brand, not necessarily the name of the movies.
So just J.K. Rowling.
Ghostbusters now has Ghost Corps. That's a production company. I saw Wizarding World is their production company for anything that falls under the Harry Potter roof.
Okay, I could see it going that way too. I think the reason that I thought that, at least, and this is maybe my defense, would be when they called the first movie Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I think they ran into the issue where they're coming off another series called Harry Potter and the something. So they somewhat felt compelled to continue that Fantastic Beasts moniker, sort of like the Hunger Games did. The first one was Hunger Games, and then it was the Hunger Games Mockingjay. The Hunger Games Catching Fire. The Twilight tried to do it similarly that way, the Twilight
they're
Saga.
Off of branding.
Right.
Yeah, they're having to brand it so that people understand that this is one universe. And I mean, we've had that same discussion with the Marvel universe and how some members of the audience don't necessarily understand that all these movies are interconnected. I mean, there's some people that don't get that.
Right.
Yes, they're very thick if they've watched the first movie and they don't get that this one's connecting to the next one when they watch them. But
yeah, I guess I think when they first announced the sequel, they were using the Fantastic Beasts as sort of the overarching branding, right? So now it's Fantastic Beasts : The Crimes of Grindelwald. It felt like they might be trying to pivot to, like, you know, Wizard World Saga, Wizard World : Fantastic Beasts: Where to Find Them, Wizard World : The Crimes of Grindelwald. I mean, I could be wrong. I just think it struck me because I think, number one, Fantastic Beasts as the overarching moniker for all of these is a little awkward.
I think Wizarding World is too.
But for me, it's less so.
Less so, but still not good.
As long as they keep introducing beasts in all of these movies, I think you could probably still use the Fantastic Beasts moniker, and it did look like they had the
True
owl-looking guy in this one. I don't remember what his name is, but I mean, you got to think too when you say like Harry Potter and, you know, Sorcerer's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets and Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. That first started out as a marketing thing from Rowling and the book companies. So
yeah,
yeah.
But like I said, that's how it hit me. So I just wondered if it felt similar to anyone else, but it looks like I'm in the minority. But Brian, what would you say? Was there anything that you were happy to see, or that, I mean, as you self-proclaimed maybe least exposed to, or you're not as in deep as the rest of us,
Right? Yeah, that's
so
fair. This is not my Star Wars.
Right. So like, what was maybe like one thing out of anything else that like really hit you? Like, was it still the Jacob moment? Was there something else that you're like, oh, I wonder what that's about?
I mean, the one thing that caught me in the trailer that I got the most excited about, I think, was seeing Jacob again. I liked seeing Jude Law as Dumbledore. I'm curious to see what he did or does. And maybe we can get into it whenever we get into, like, if you're going frame by frame or trying to get through the trailer. But I could have sworn I seen Ezra Miller in there too.
Oh yes,
I thought I caught a glimpse of him as well.
I think I did. But
Okay.
yeah,
100%. I am absolutely certain.
Because that needs to be explained at some point, right?
It looks like he has a little bit of control over the Obscura.
Yeah,
based on the trailer that I could see.
Because it's like they don't like. I thought since he was such a main character in the first one that if they show him in the trailer, it would be more of a reveal, like they did with Dumbledore. Like, hey, look, that guy's back. But they almost hide him really quickly.
I hope they don't. I hope they don't, because I don't know necessarily where he might play in. And as I mean, I've said before, I could see the Credence storyline being over. Like, if it had ended where it did, it was a clean finish. It might suck for that to be the finish, but like, it was a clean enough finish. So I hope they don't give much away in these previews at all as to how he might play in.
And that's more like if
I was gonna say
I was just thinking if they're from a marketing standpoint, if they are sort of wrapping him up or at the least not featuring him as much in this movie, why show him at all? Like, I think that would be a fun little surprise had he not be in the trailers at all.
I don't think he's going to be a small part. I think he's going to be a very big part.
I think he's going to end up being bigger than we would think, and if they're smart, I actually think, maybe you'll glimpse that he's there, because I was going to bring the same point up later, which is, there is a moment where it does look like, oh wait, is that related to Credence and the Obscurus, and so therefore is one of those people sitting on that rooftop him? Maybe. That is the only moment for me that I thought, oh, maybe that's him. I don't even, like, for me, unless I try to really freeze frame, in that second or two, it's really hard to
one that was definitely, there was a scene where you could definitely see Ezra Miller as Ezra. Like, you could see it was Ezra Miller. Like,
oh, really?
There was no...
So it goes... okay,
then it went... brief moment where it's like, oh, there he is.
Alright, then it went by too quickly for me. So I watched the trailer maybe like 5 times.
It was a flash?
It was...
you would say?
So that's
what you did there.
We're not going to say that. I mean, it went by too quick enough, like it didn't stand out to me, at least. So maybe there are others that, maybe it seemed very apparent to some people, and maybe others missed it. So
That's sort of what I was thinking. Like they make it a point to like hang the camera on Jude Law's Dumbledore and just let it sit there so you see him and you know who he is. For a character that has made the appearance in the previous movie, I felt like they should have lingered on Ezra Miller a little bit longer to just confirm to you, like, yes, this guy's in here, and I don't know.
To me, it wasn't positive that it was Ezra Miller. It was kind of like, ooh, that could be him. I wonder if, like it's like I'm playing all these like weird wondering things in my mind, because to me, it was, a little too quick for me, and I didn't pause it. I only watched the trailer once as well. But, I think it's kind of cool that he didn't hang on him. It gives me a little bit of suspense on how they're going to incorporate him, or if it is actually going to be him, and not just like some kind of flashback or something.
They're not spoiling it. They're letting it be like he's there, but what's he doing?
Right.
Just like Jacob, he's there, but how funny is he going to be?
Yeah.
They're showing you aspects of the movie that you need to know, you need to get interested, because Dumbledore is going to put asses in seats. Let's face it. Like, it's Dumbledore, and I can play that into my own answer for your question.
Okay.
And it's kind of like I was anxious to see Jude Law as Dumbledore.
Okay.
And see what he was going to be able to do with it, because Dumbledore is Dumbledore.
Yeah.
So far, I'm not happy.
Okay.
It's not necessarily that I feel like Jude Law is a bad actor or this is not good or anything. It felt more like Jude Law and less like Dumbledore.
Like a Dumbledore. That's a good point.
I was hoping.
That's where I am so far. I'm hoping that there's much more in the movie that allows you to see that character as much, because Jude Law as a person, I find very difficult to ever look past him. He's there's a certain actors and actresses, it's really difficult to look past them in anything that they do. So
that was a concern I had from the moment they cast Jude Law.
Like, I thought it was an interesting
Jude Law
choice.
is a huge personality on his own in any role he takes on.
Yeah.
And
like, I think that was one of the main things. And Andy, I didn't realize that this is one of the reasons that I maybe didn't enjoy King Arthur as much as I could have.
Because you couldn't see past Jude Law.
I couldn't. I could only see Jude Law acting that way. I could not see overly ambitious, potentially evil king. I just saw Jude Law being mean.
Right.
So yeah, I'm hoping that he can
give
me, get me past that in this.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he got like the meter that the other actors got down for Albus Dumbledore down. They had a certain way of speaking, and it seemed like his meter was a little off from theirs. So I'm hoping like a lot more dialogue with him when you actually see the movie will be a little closer to how they spoke. Because I feel like
that's a good point.
The second Dumbledore actor, I can't remember, is Michael Gambon, I think.
Yes.
Did a pretty good job of picking up where the first one left off after that actor died. I can't remember the first actor's name.
Richard Harris.
Yeah. I feel like their meter was pretty similar, although I feel like Gambon was a little bit more energetic about it.
Yeah.
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 So,
and for good and for bad.
Yeah, yeah. I think he did a really pretty good job. I like both of them. But I'm interested to see how Jude Law, I know he's going to like make it his own and whatnot, but I'd like to see him kind of like fit in a little bit into that structure that they've already created.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's
excellent point. Go ahead.
Maybe from the outside looking in, do you think this is something they're going to let him grow into? Like Jude Law starts as the younger version. There's 5 movies in total for Fantastic Beasts? That's what we're going to get?
Yeah.
And they take place over an extended period of time?
Right.
They're not like every year like Harry Potter?
So this is, I think this is maybe, I want to say this is maybe supposed to be 3 to 7 years after the first Fantastic Beasts movie.
And do we have no idea when the 5th Fantastic Beasts movie will end? Like what kind of time gap we're going to get?
It is set in 1945. The 5th one, I guarantee, will be set in 1945. Okay. So this one right now is about 20 to 25 years before that.
Okay. So obviously they're going to age Jude Law as we go through these movies. Do you think
Yes.
as they age him, he will get closer to what the older Dumbledore looked and sounded like as they go through?
I really hope that he gets it. It reins him back more to what the other actors did.
Right. Like maybe they're just not starting him like that right out the gate, and they're going to ease him into that.
It takes a long time to grow a beard that long.
That too.
That's a lot of beard.
I'm with Andy on his main point, because I think and to tie it into what I said before, right now, just the couple of lines that I heard and the mannerisms that I saw in the one like classroom scene, what I saw was Jude Law delivering those lines in a way that I've seen Jude Law deliver lines before. And yeah, so maybe and actually this, we can dive right in here, because we'll get into other points of the trailer that could branch off of this. So right off the bat, I'm gonna just, like I said, just kind of walk through the trailer and use that as our framework. And right off the bat, I am actually gonna call out some bullshit, because but I might have to immediately walk it back. So the trailer pretty much opens with like a sweeping lake scene of the Hogwarts castle, and the camera pans up onto the like walking bridge that was very utilized, especially in the very last movie during the Battle of Hogwarts and whatnot. And wizards, maybe it's wizards and witches, will say, apparate and just appear on that walking bridge on the Hogwarts grounds. Now, two things. I guess I'm presuming, based on the context of what happens after that, these are, say, Ministry of Magic related individuals. Maybe they're related to, as you were talking about, like Interpol and things earlier, maybe it's like an international type of investigative body or something. That being said, the reason I'm calling bull on it is extraordinarily well established through most of the movies and all the books that one cannot apparate or disapparate on the Hogwarts grounds.
But that's post-existence of Voldemort.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know how long
I'm saying,
that's
but
been a
that's
thing.
when we're told that. Right, but I'm saying, like, we're told it post-existence of Voldemort, as opposed to pre-existence of Voldemort. Was that a thing?
Yeah, that's a potential, so we don't know that. So the one easy counter argument I see to this was done in the movie Half-Blood Prince, where in a roundabout way, when Dumbledore and Harry, Dumbledore apparates them both out of the castle, and Harry specifically makes a point to say, "I thought you couldn't disapparate out of here," and Dumbledore says something like, "Well, you can if you're me."
Yeah, it being me has its privileges.
Yes. So on the one hand, I thought, well, okay, maybe that was a difference of like ideas or screenwriters. So Steve Kloves, who wrote all the Harry Potter screenplays except Order of the Phoenix, wrote Half-Blood Prince. So I thought, maybe that was their idea. J.K. was all right with it. She didn't, okay, whatever. It worked to further the pacing of that, so they used it. But the corner that I get stuck in right now is J.K. Rowling is writing these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she's the one writing Ministry people appear on bridge. So I'm screwed with my idea.
Well, at what point can you not... where does the barrier to which you can apparate in end or begin?
True.
How far away from Hogwarts can you actually apparate?
It's always said on the Hogwarts grounds. I'm assuming that bridge counts as the
where
grounds.
Does that... Generally, I can actually tell you based on like maritime law, if you will, on a bridge.
Uh-huh.
And I have to know this because I fish a lot. I go out to people's property. Generally speaking, if somebody owns, say, a covered bridge over a creek, they own the half of that closest to their house.
Okay.
So, like, that half closest to their house is considered their property, unless they own the property on the other side of the body of water.
Sure.
If they own that property too, the whole bridge is theirs. If they don't, half the bridge is theirs.
What do you guys think? Am I just splitting hairs here?
I think it's easily summed up with just J.K. Rowling has its privileges. She can write whatever the fuck she wants to.
I know. I think Mike has a good theory as like it's not a ward set in place yet in that time period.
Okay.
I think something has to happen, like whether it's Grindelwald apparating onto Hogwarts and stirring up some shit, or Voldemort apparating onto Hogwarts and stirring up some shit, and then they put the wards out and prevent that stuff from happening from henceforth. That's my guess, and I'm hoping that we actually get to see what incident
causes
the teachers to create such ward.
Huh.
Think
right.
post 9/11 anal checking by the TSA.
Yeah, like I said, actually, Andy, I hadn't thought about that point is maybe quasi for funsies, because it was such an integrated part of the fabric of the books that it was like always very stressed. Cannot apparate, disapparate,
right.
in and out. Maybe
now they apparate onto it, and they're like,
maybe they can create some.
The fans, they're like, wait, you were not allowed to do that. How did that happen? You know, and I feel like that might be something fun that they can kind of explain.
All right, okay, I could be on board with that.
Whether or not it's going to happen,
and if they
can't say. But
yeah, if they never do, I'll fall back to Brian's explanation.
Right.
All right, so let's see. So we move forward. Okay, here's my question. So in the trailer, the next thing you basically see is these Ministry officials. They've arrived because they want to go interview Dumbledore, and Dumbledore. We'll call this Brian's education point. Dumbledore used to be a transfiguration teacher before he was headmaster. So I'm presuming that the classroom that they are interviewing him in is his own. That classroom was used for Defense Against the Dark Arts in several of the Harry Potter movies, and I think maybe temporarily as a different one in one of the other ones. So my question is, like, does this damn room get used for every class at some point? Is it like so generic of a set that it's going to get used for like all purpose whenever they want it to?
Or is Hogwarts like Penhill's High School, where every chemistry room felt the same, every math room felt the same? Other than the chemistry rooms that had lab tables, every room felt the same.
Okay, hadn't considered that. It just felt so. Maybe it felt to me like an easy. It's like I'm gonna say an easy, like a little bit of a lazy decision. Like here is a set and a setting and a scene that people are familiar with. Let's use it.
I mean, I would argue just off the top of my head, I can think of at least 5 different classrooms that I've seen in Harry Potter.
Yeah. But
and
why not use one of the other ones that wasn't used, more than once? Why not create something brand new that we really haven't seen?
I mean,
you're going back
we're assuming
almost
this
70
is
years.
the Defense Against the Dark Arts room that Lockhart and Moody teach in, correct? Okay, but that's not the same Defense Against the Dark Arts room that Lupin uses.
Yes, it is.
Or that Quirrell... No.
Yes, it is. When Lupin is doing the Bogart lesson, I think they're in a different room. But when he finds Harry wandering around at night with Snape, and he takes him to a classroom to read him out, it is that room. And when Harry goes up into his office, it is that office at the top of those stairs, just like Lockhart.
Okay. That's the room I was equating the other ones to, and I didn't recall that being that. Like, 'cause I remember Umbridge using that, and I remember, like so many of them using it, but I didn't remember Quirrell or
Quirrell. Well, you never got Quirrell. You never saw Quirrell's class except for the moment that
she goes and asks.
She peeks in, but you don't. I don't think it's that same one, and you never really get a sense of it. So. I don't know. I just thought it was a bit of like, look, you have an opportunity to like show us a bit more of Hogwarts, perhaps. Why use something that we're so familiar with? We've seen it a lot.
To your point, I don't think we're going to get a lot of Hogwarts in this movie.
Okay,
so if you have one Hogwarts set that is familiar, I think that works.
Yeah, I want to say that they're probably going to try and not focus on Hogwarts. I think Brian's hit the nail on the head there. Because all of the other 8 movies were very Hogwarts centric, so I think that's kind of why they're trying to do like the U.S. and like like the rest of Europe and maybe like I don't know, Threes in Africa or something. Isn't that where Newt found that first ethereal?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
that he actually separated and trapped in his little briefcase. So,
Yes.
I mean, maybe
Right.
they're just trying to do, I mean, some of it's going to have to be at Hogwarts because, Dumbledore's there, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely looks like at some point Newt ends up at Hogwarts to meet Dumbledore.
Yeah, so I'm going to...
How extended that is in the movie, we don't know.
Yeah. So let's put a pin on that because we are going to get to that because I have some questions based around that scene as well.
Okay.
So it moves next to the people interviewing Dumbledore, their line of questioning. They're focused on Newt Scamander and on his activities and what he's doing personally. This is where we get the heads up that they understand that he's going to be traveling out of England. He's headed to Europe, specifically Paris and France. And I think it was well revealed, like a year ago maybe, that a big bulk of the movie would be taking place probably in Paris. So that wasn't a surprise to me to see. But my question, I think, at this point was, again, I think this is taking place a couple of years after the first Fantastic Beasts movie. Why do we think that randomly Newt Scamander is this hardcore on, say, the Ministry or like an Interpol type organization's radar, to the point where they're going and questioning other people that, he might be doing work for or in relation to? Like, why?
Well, he
why
does have
him?
an Obscurus in his possession, doesn't he?
Did they know that? I mean, I
Did
guess they
they?
would. But it's like several years later. It doesn't mean he always has to like carry it with him. I don't know. What do we? What
I don't
do
know.
we
He seems to
theorize?
carry everything with him.
Okay.
So, I don't know. To me, I would think anybody in possession of such dangerous materials is worthy of the attention of the intelligence organizations. Just like anybody that happens to have plutonium or uranium is going to pop up on CIA and FBI, Interpol, UN. Everybody's going to be watching it. If you have those materials and they know about it, they're going to watch you because, even if you don't intend to use them, if you mishandle them because you don't know what you're doing, it could mean catastrophe.
True that. Did anyone else get as hung up on this point as I did, or did it just seem like, oh, that's a way to further the plot?
Andy, go ahead.
He also seems like a scofflaw.
Oh,
Like somebody who's in a scofflaw. A white whale, a Newman.
Got it.
Somebody who's is intentionally looking at their laws and kind of, screw you, I'm doing what I want. Like, yeah, it's illegal to have this in possession. What of it? Come get me. And it kind of rubs people the wrong way.
Gotcha.
It could be a reveal that they are going to do in the movie as to why they are most interested in Scamander now. That's kind of where I was thinking, because I was also curious why they were so, headhuntery about it. So I don't know. I'm thinking it's something that either the second trailer will tell us, or the movie itself, plot-wise, will reveal.
Yeah.
And I would also say, if they're there questioning Dumbledore at a time when Grindelwald's going on trial because he was just captured,
Mm-hmm.
because, I mean, that's certainly what it looks like in some of the scenes we get, is that we're getting a trial of Grindelwald, and that's the crimes that they're going to discuss.
Sure.
And given the backstory we know about Dumbledore already,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't they be questioning him about Grindelwald and not Newt Scamander? And that seems kind of out of place.
Yeah.
Because whether or not the big battle takes place yet or not, which we know it doesn't, because, like you said,
Yeah.
but he did know him. So wouldn't they be questioning him about Grindelwald, since that would kind of be the biggest thing in the wizarding world at that time, not Newt Scamander?
Yeah, so my thought on that as it occurred was, I got the impression that no one really knew of their prior relationship. a few people who may have lived in Godric's Hollow at the time, but it seemed to be an extremely small, I don't say kept secret, but it was not known that like they had known each other for a couple of months when they were teenagers. That was not common knowledge.
So you're saying when Batilda Bagshot puts that information out there,
it's a big revelation.
That she's informing even the government of it.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, it was just history. Like, obviously, Dumbledore in his youth was on a lot of international radars because of his genius, but it didn't seem like the random wizarding village that they happened to live in would have been so, like, under everyone's microscope that people would have realized that he, you know, had interactions with this person for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. So my thought was, though,
I don't know, I think they'd be paying attention.
Well, people knew, you know, at this point it is probably, given their ages, I think this is actually probably 40 to 50 years after they're teenagers. Because Dumbledore dies when he's about 150. And
Ish, yeah.
That is in like the mid-ish 90s. That, according to JK's timeline, that he dies. So he's born in like 1845, say. And so if he's a real teenager in the early 1860s...
He's 70, 80 at this time.
Yeah. So that's the other thing to keep in mind. They're for all intents and purposes, already old men. In terms of like
by our
muggles
standards.
and humans, right?
Yeah.
So they haven't been together for, it's even longer, probably 50 years. But my guess with the questioning is maybe Dumbledore has already built up a reputation of having power, having brilliance, having different approaches to problem solving and conflict resolution and whatnot. He's already, you know, now that he's been back at Hogwarts for so long, he's made his mark in the international community. So maybe they're interested in Newt because they're interested in Dumbledore. For whatever reason that Newt and Dumbledore have a strong association and work together closely, Newt is on their radar because Dumbledore's on their radar, not really the other way around. And if Dumbledore is, again, looked to, and this is going to be a point I bring up later, if Dumbledore is looked to, you know, be a potential counter or defense to Grindelwald, which we know comes at some point because it's described in the earlier books as, you know, there's like a public outcry from the world for Dumbledore to intervene just because he's seen as an extremely powerful person. I don't think like the world knows, like, hey, go after your friend and stop him. They just know he's a force to be reckoned with, and he's the best one to try to do it. So maybe that's why they're after Newt, just because he's an associate of someone they're already interested in.
I was actually...
go
ahead, Mike.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't think that the Wizarding World in general would know, but I feel like the government would still be paying attention to Godric's Hollow. Just because of the Peveril brothers. That things that go on there would kind of be monitored.
Okay.
And they would, you know, like, because whether or not we want to admit it as a group of fans, or whether or not we want to talk about it as a group of fans, the government knows that the Deathly Hallows are an actual thing.
You think? I never got that impression.
I would think if anybody does, they do.
Okay.
I would think that they would be aware of them, but not know where to find them, not know, you know, what they actually were, where to actually locate them.
I don't know. I've always gotten the impression from the books and the movies that the Ministry of Magic was kind of bumbling.
Well, Fudge was bumbling.
Well, I mean, I thought
but
all
Rufus
of them...
Scrimgeour was not.
I don't know.
I could see it. I mean, now if you bring the point up, I could see it as maybe something that there were like a couple of texts that people looked at every now and then in the Department of Mysteries, and it was maybe like discussed there in, you know, possible vague terms, just as, hey, just in the event that these things are real, let's kind of have a case file on them. But I would.
Well, even at that
Yeah.
point, I don't necessarily know that, like, I guess maybe Dumbledore isn't as highly followed early in his career, in his life,
Sure.
as he is later. So
Right.
perhaps that leads to the government not paying as much attention to him specifically within Godric's Hollow.
Yeah.
Okay, I can talk myself out of it. I can talk myself in a circle around out of it. So
I thought of another reason that they could potentially be trying to follow Scamander. Between the first movie and the second movie, what has happened? And this is just an assumption, but I'm assuming that the first volume of his book, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, has been published. And probably within said book is things that the government doesn't want people to know.
I like that. Okay, I'm in.
thumbing his nose at the government on...
Yeah, the government doesn't want you to know that these creatures are actually friendly and very useful and not at all harmful, but fuck you, they are not. And I think the government would probably be pretty fucking pissed off about that and want to find him and tell him to redact or retract or whatever you want to fucking say about it.
I like
would the government
the
really
movie
be
you're
wrong
writing
in not
better
wanting...
than the one that's in my head.
I was just saying, but would the government really be wrong in not wanting everybody to want and a rumpin?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, he's trying to put that out there so that, like, people don't harm these beasts and stuff because they are actually, you know, like, useful and beautiful in their own way and whatnot, and not just eradicate. Well, beast eradicate, you know, like, fuck you. So I don't know. I that's what my guess is. Just
I like that a lot, actually.
Random thought.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very general storytelling reason why it could work that way, that they're after Newt.
Go.
You start thinking, like, most movies you watch, why is the good guy always on the run? Because they get mixed up into some shit. They're at the wrong place at the wrong time. So this movie could open with some sort of action sequence where Newt is in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's the one that everyone thinks is responsible. So they chase him, not knowing he's the good guy, and somebody else caused the shit. You know, the frame job type of thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I have no Harry Potter theories to back that up. That's just general storytelling that could be happening.
It wasn't his Cruciatus curse, it was somebody else's.
Those are all really good points. See, that's why we get the brain trust together. So as that sort of part of the trailer closes out, something that I was happy to see, and I can't tell if it's Dumbledore using it or it might be Newt, doesn't really matter yet, but you see the use of the Deluminator as they're sucking the light out of the lampposts, and that's like a fun little thing because the reason I think, well, it's definitely tied to Dumbledore, and if it's Newt using it, it would make sense because both in the book and the movie, they make a point to say that the Deluminator is of Dumbledore's own design. He invented it. And it's, like, not something that is, like, a widely available or, like, mass-produced item. Like, there's probably only, like, the one he has.
It's probably one of a kind.
Yeah, one of a kind. Maybe he made one for, like, a few other people real close to him. But I thought that was a fun little callback to include as something that's very unique to his character. Didn't really play a significant part at any time, really, in the stories, but it was just another little fun add-on to include as, like, hey, Dumbledore. It's his. I thought that was fun.
I mean, it did play a pretty significant part in leading Ron back to Harry and Hermione.
That is true. That is true. I guess in the way of it not being used as a Deluminator per se.
Right. Well, it was Dumbledore's own enchantment within it that he knew what to do with it, kind of thing. He could make more out of it than just a Deluminator.
Yeah.
And nobody else knew but him.
Yeah.
They couldn't even tell. Like, they're probably inspected the thing 1,000 times over, and they couldn't even figure it out. What the hell was he leaving him a thing that just gets rid of light for?
Well, they didn't have a Hermione to get back to, so it didn't work for them.
Precisely.
So, Josh, I have the trailer up as just so I can look at visuals when you're hitting the right spots of the trailer.
Okay, I have the time codes also, if that would help. I can start throwing those out.
Well, I'm trying to, like, click, and I was trying to get a better view at who could be using the Illuminator to grab that. Uh-huh. And as I'm doing that, there are two people in that scene. It looks like a stealth mission. Somebody is by the middle light. There seems to be a gate post or concrete wall right by that middle light. And you still can't make out who it is. If I had to guess, Newt is hiding behind that, and Dumbledore is taking the lights out.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
I remember the scene playing out that way, and I thought the two of them were there when it was happening, but yeah, couldn't actually confirm who had the Deluminator because it's too dark.
Yeah, it's very foggy, so you're only making out blurry figures, but if I had to guess, that's my 2 cents.
So who's taller?
So if you're trying to follow along in that way, that's happening around like the 27-second mark. Keep in mind that just like the Star Wars trailer episodes, this is a 2-minute trailer that we're gonna end up probably with like an hour and a half episode on. So
we all have our niche, Josh.
Yeah,
we're into yours.
So I'd say the next thing that kind of moves the plot of the trailer, if you will, along, we kind of jump to like 37 seconds. In my estimation, this is like the next significant moment you get. So this is Newt appearing on a rooftop. It looks like it's somewhat of a predetermined meeting with Dumbledore. And Mike, I think this is what you said earlier, that it looks like, Newt is at Hogwarts. To me, I couldn't necessarily, like, to me, I don't know if it like absolutely stood out that that's where they were, but if that's fine. I don't know if that's significant or not. But it definitely looked like Dumbledore was pleased, but not all surprised. Not really surprised to see Newt there. So they're clearly working together. They're clearly in league on some kind of overall arc of a mission statement. There's something long term that they're working on, and they're kind of checking in, or something's happening there. But I guess that begs the bigger question that we kind of really got into before. What is it that we think Newt's capacity is at this point to Dumbledore? So he's a magical zoologist. What function in the broader scope do we think Newt could be doing for Dumbledore right now? What can he benefit?
Research on Obscurus. Because I think Dumbledore knows that Grindelwald wants them for a reason, and he wants to know why.
Okay.
I would also think
I agree.
that Newt is probably one of the first ones to probably face Grindelwald, since he did that in the finale of the first one.
Okay.
So he's got some experience dealing with that person.
I also think he's one of the only people that actually has experience with an Obscurus.
Or that too.
Because they're supposed to be rare enough that, it's not exactly a normal occurrence for a wizard to say, oh, I've dealt with an Obscurus. For all we know, Dumbledore never actually interacts with Credence and never actually deals with an Obscurus.
Did the first movie reveal how Newt found the girl in Africa? Was that a Dumbledore? Did Dumbledore send him there?
I don't believe it's ever mentioned.
Okay.
Like he talks. Newt, I think, talks about the one he has, where it came from. But I don't think there's any context put to why he's there. I at least took it as he's already mentioned that, like, he's on this world tour. He's trying to learn. He's trying to return certain species back to their natural habitats, etc. And that's just something that he kind of found or fell into, rather, as he was just doing that mission. I could be completely wrong about that. I mean, there could be definitely more behind it, but given what we've been provided so far, that's all I took from it.
Okay, now that I freeze frame the spot you were talking about, that's not what I assumed was Hogwarts. It was much later in the trailer.
Okay.
Is the part that I assumed was Hogwarts. It's actually, now that I freeze frame it, it's not him and Dumbledore in the moment that I was looking at.
On the rooftop?
No, not on the rooftop. Like I said, much later in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
The spot I was looking at that I thought might have been Hogwarts.
I know what you're talking about. Okay,
not
yeah, we'll get there.
Actually, him and Dumbledore.
Yes.
So
yes.
We'll deal with that at another time.
Sure.
And later. But yeah, it's not the same.
Gotcha.
Wasn't the same moment.
So as it pushes forward, we already brought this up as well, that it looks like the next part we get is showing something regarding Grindelwald on trial. Looks like he's in front of some kind of governing body. I thought perhaps maybe it's the Wizengamot, an international body, or of course, no, not the Wizengamot. Wizengamot is, I think, just England. This would be like the International Confederation of Wizards, maybe. Or it could be America.
It had a very Karkaroff feel to it.
Yeah,
it did. Of a circular group of wizards and
yes,
surrounded below them. Like it had that feel of like him being isolated.
Yeah, very much.
While he was being questioned. I think is the boat.
Yeah, the point that Andy brought up earlier about like he was curious to see if there's a depiction of like how American wizarding politics or government trials, perhaps, like all that would work if it'll be portrayed in any way. So this could definitely be in that moment. It could be in front of some kind of American government review. It could be in like an international body. So we get that scene first. So it definitely looks like it's related there, and then some of those ideas come back as the trailer progresses. It doesn't really linger on that moment very long. But then it pushes forward, and this is where we get our first glimpse, and in my opinion, not enough, but I understand the reasons why. We get our first glimpse and inclusion of Jacob again.
Yes. With the new, perhaps, Niffler that is not a Niffler, but it's some kind of bird thing that looks interesting and probably funny, hanging out behind him there. My
note that I made for this, at like the 58-second mark, you see Newt and him first in some kind of like arching doorway. Looks like maybe they're about to go into some kind of walkway or tunnel, perhaps. And then you see Jacob behind him. But the note that I made was you get your first glimpse of Jacob and some freaky ass bird owl thing. Because I don't know. I don't think that
sounds right.
I don't think that was a part of the creatures in the first movie.
No.
So I'm interested to see. Oh, what does that thing do? What is that about? But we kind of brought it up before. What are some possibilities as to how you get from where we left off Jacob at the end of the first movie to fully getting back? Like, and it has to be seamless, right? There's got to be some very organic, natural feel. As it's got to be better than Newt needs his friend's help again, so he'll just go lift that enchantment. It's got to be better than that, right?
I was going to say, since JK's writing these, she can always write in something that is the opposite of an Obliviate charm.
She can. I just think she's better than that. And
I think she is too, but it's also a really easy out.
It's an easy out. But go ahead.
I think it's Queenie.
Would she breaks the spell?
Well, no, Queenie is the opposite of the Obliviate. Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it physically uses a incantation to do it, but she herself is the charm.
Right, because his feelings for her before he got obliviated, and then his when you see the scene in the Fantastic Beasts when she comes back in, you can tell he almost knows, and when you see the smile on Queenie's face when it goes back to her, she can tell that he knows because she can read his mind.
I was going to say, she does seem to be maybe the most powerful Legilimens we've ever seen.
Right.
Okay, fair point.
As
even Voldemort's not that powerful as a Legilimens. He's not even close. She just doesn't even have to think about it. She just knows instantly what everybody's thinking.
That's an interesting point. I definitely like all the ideas getting put on the table because it definitely has a lot of the classic romantic story there as well. I think I said before, I think for all of us, especially watching these kind of movies, I think in the first Harry Potter movies, we all just wanted to be wizards. And it just looked so fun. With Jacob, we have an avatar now. We have one of us who walks amongst them, so we can live in the story through him. And to have a lot of the classic elements of, love is strong enough to even break the spell. That's a really good idea.
Well, isn't that what the entire Harry Potter series is about, is that love is stronger than any spell you can cast?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, then. Just saying.
Guess if you're going to get particular...
So do you think
that's a good idea? So yeah, go ahead. So do we think that Jacob can still play like a significantly strong role in Newt's sort of plot in his arc through the movie?
So my guess is, are we still talking about how Jacob gets to where Newt is?
A little of both, sure.
Okay. Well, my guess is that the trial of Grindelwald will want to take place in Europe. So I'm thinking Tina is chosen as one of the top 4s to escort Grindelwald to Europe. And who's she going to bring along? But her legitimate, well, I can't say it.
Because you're going to accidentally say illegitimate.
Right.
Her illegitimate
Queen,
friend.
who, as we're left to assume after the first movie, is back together with Jacob.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's how maybe they all get to meet.
That would make a lot of sense because the prison that Grindelwald, spoilers, this is much more in the books. It's shown for a fleeting, crappy second in Deathly Hallows Part 1. But Grindelwald does end up in jail eventually for the rest of his life. And the jail Nuremberg, I think it is. I believe it's like somewhere in like the middle of the like Adriatic Sea or something. It's very heavily guarded, so it's exactly sort of like like going to the world court in Switzerland and having that. So if the Wizarding World has something analogous, it's also happening
going to the Hague.
Europe. Yeah, the Hague, exactly. So yeah, that would make absolute sense. And Andy, you need to get some kind of more direct connection with the Warner Brothers people, because these are really freaking good ideas you have. I mean, it does. It's good connective tissue. It makes sense. I like that. Like, I would absolutely buy that in a heartbeat. Does that work for everybody else, or do you think it's going to potentially slightly look a little far-fetched or flimsy as to how they, like the justification and how believable it is that everybody ends up, back in the same setting again?
Honestly, I don't care. As long as he's back, I don't care how they do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
you'd be okay with Newt just apparating next to him in the bakery.
Yeah, reversal spell.
Tapping. Yeah,
because immediately after that happened in the first one, immediately I was just like, take it back! So if they just take it back somewhere in this movie, I'm totally fine.
So
I have been on board with Dan Fogler since the day I seen him in Fanboys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, seeing him more, whatever loophole they have to connect, I agree with Brian. Just as long as he's there, I'm good.
And you have to wonder if this was the plan from the get-go, or it was like he got such a reaction from the first movie, it's like, well, now we gotta retcon that one.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I think maybe there's potentially the framework there, and it could have gone like one of two ways. But yeah, maybe after they saw the emotional connection and response that people had to it, they're like, yeah, all right, well, we're gonna go with path B.
Because really, like, his ending in the first movie, I think wraps up fairly well. It's left ambiguous. Yeah. It's left up to the viewer to interpret it, whether or not he remembers, whether he still forgets, if he's just happy to see a pretty woman by the end of it.
Yeah, it's like end of, depending on which cut you're watching, like Blade Runner is he a replicant or not?
Right.
No one knows. Who cares? Move on.
But yeah, again, since he got such a reaction and he was the one that a lot of people were talking about after the first one, it's like, well, now we got to find a way to get him in there because people like him.
So I have this scene that I'm creating in my head where, as for context, early on the Smodcast podcast, Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier started talking about the Harry Potter books and the movies, and they came up with this simple spell that you could do anything you wanted, and you would just tap them with the Forget-a-Kiss spell, and that was the Obliviate. That was his poor man's version of Obliviate, was Forget-a-Kiss. So, Brian, in your scenario, I see Newt, being wherever he is in the world and just realizing, I need my trusty sidekick. He disapparates, apparates right next to Jacob in the bakery, taps him within like Unforget-a-kiss spell.
I'm down with that. Totally down with that.
Grabs him, they immediately disapparate back to Europe or wherever he needs to go at the time, and then like you just move forward, like, all right, we're good, let's go.
And then this part in the trailer picks up right where that left off. And it's like, oh, where are you going? You're coming with me. Sweet! And then we just go.
I was going to say, he snaps into the bakery, slaps him on the head with a remembrall, just busts it on the back of his head, and it turns out it has another function. It's not just so that you can,
alert you if you
realize that you forgot something. It also allows you to remember everything that you've ever forgotten. But it has to be smashed against your head.
In the most wizardly of ways, just like you're smashing a beer bottle over someone in a bar fight. Just crash that thing on crash it on your skull. And
I want to say Shaun of the Dead, where he smashes the ashtray into the zombie's head.
I'm down.
I mean, that could work for a comedic moment, right?
Yeah.
Because he's just really pissed someone bashed him in the back of the head for no reason until he turns around and, oh, Newt, hey, what's happening? Let's go somewhere.
like he pops up in his bakery. So Jacob's in there baking. Newt pops up out of nowhere, just apparates in because he's oblivious to anything that has to do with wizarding. He starts freaking out and reaching for a gun. So he has to panic and smash the remembrall across his forehead.
That would actually
it's
work.
Like oh, shit!
You've established that he still has memory problems. He doesn't recognize this person. And then just in a momentary turn, oh, hey, Newt, where have you been?
That would actually be funnier because in Mike's scenario, Newt is not intending to get him to remember. It's accidental. Newt bashes him in the back of the head in self-defense with just something handy. And it happens to be something that brings back his memory. And he's like, oh, fuck, damn it. All right, you're with me. Let's go.
Stuck with him. Kind of like Deadpool and Cable when the teleporter breaks, and anytime Cable wants to teleport, he's stuck with Deadpool teleporting with him.
There you go.
He can walk around without him all day long. As soon as he teleports, well, Deadpool gets pulled in too.
In that scenario, Jacob is Deadpool, I'm down.
Exactly. Now I'm thinking crossover.
You're going to get Warner Brothers and now Disney to play that nice.
Disney's just waiting for
Harry Potter. I mean, is it really that far off before Disney buys Warner Brothers too?
5 more years. Alright, so we're definitely excited Jacob's back, and apparently in whatever capacity and how it works, most of us are thrilled with. So moving to a point that we did bring up earlier, and maybe this is, I don't know if we need to linger on it more because we did kind of describe it. The next sort of segment of the trailer doesn't really have anything to do with the rest of what's being said or what we see, but this is where we get to a rooftop city scene in which you're seeing 2 people on a rooftop and a wispy smoke cloud either emanating from one of them or moving away from one of them. To me, it was a little difficult to necessarily tell if one of them, as I said, was intentionally emitting it and releasing it, if they were controlling it, whatever was happening. But like on my second viewing, that's when I first honed in, oh, is this how they're conveying credence to us? So was this the scene that you guys were mentioning that you thought credence was just like blatantly kind of revealed?
Give me a moment to see the timestamp.
I'm sorry,
I'm watching it right now.
Yeah, it's around 107.
121 when we get there is where I think we see Ezra Miller.
Oh, okay, so that's a little bit past where I am.
Like it's a close-up of his face.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, so the moment I'm talking about is only like 2 seconds anyway.
Right, when I came back through, the rooftop with Ezra...
121.
The rooftop, whoever's got his hand up and is projecting this black cloud, the clothing matches with what I think was Ezra Miller later in the trailer. So if it is in fact Ezra Miller later on, it is in fact Ezra Miller here.
If you go to 121.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
My note for that moment. So I eventually we'll get there like right after this actually. So the next segment of notes I made just said like, hey, it starts at around like 109 on the trailer, and it's like that typical trailer montage quick cut scene. You just get a lot of imagery. And that moment, which is the last one for that segment I wrote, I just wrote, angry man smashes thing, roof shatters.
The Angry Man is
well,
Ezra Miller, I take it?
I'm thinking
That's
Credence.
what it
there's
looks like.
strong evidence that it is potentially probably Credence. Yes.
Or a twin. It's Credence or his twin.
His hair's
the
kind of
question
thrown
I
me
think
off.
that is most important in that is, what is he smashing that does that?
It looks, if you like freeze frame as he's like swinging his arm to smash it, it looks like there's something like bird like maybe like a few small birdish things that are inside flying around, and whenever he
it actually
releases or
reminded
something,
me a bit of like the thing that Newt had trapped a Obscurus in, but that's not an Obscurus in there.
right?
But it looks like that same type of size and general
okay.
shape bubble
I'm with you.
that he had used for the Obscurus. So what's in there? And good lord, does that do some damage?
And I mean, this could just be creative cutting, but it does look like
I think it is creative cutting.
The cause, yeah, they're making it look like the cause and effect of him hitting that thing. You know what? It's cutting, because that whole moment before that, it almost looks like a old school circus, doesn't it? Like under the big top with some kind of attraction.
Yeah.
And
because whatever he's hitting is definitely in a tent-like structure,
Yes.
and then the explosion that happens afterwards is a building in downtown.
Yes, you're right.
Yep. Yeah, they're not attached. Okay, so, but it still brings up the question of what is he smashing?
True.
And why?
Yeah. I'm just gonna say generally because he looks angry. That's why he smashes it.
Well, you generally smash things when you're angry, and sometimes when you're very happy.
Right. Moving on. No, I'm joking.
Is this the montage where they show Zoe
Kravitz, yes. So we get a lot of stuff here at the beginning. So there's like some Yule Ball type of looking thing to me, some like formal dancing setting. And we do get a good clear shot of Zoe as Lita Lestrange, who I guess was a prior object of infatuation / potential girlfriend of Newt's, maybe while he was at Hogwarts. It kind of goes through things quickly. Like you get the White Cliffs of Dover, which I'm surprised it took them this long. Oh no, wait. I was gonna say, I think they might be included briefly in Deathly Hallows Part 1. I'll say, for all that time you spend in England, it took them this long to include the White Cliffs, but I think they are used before. But a lot of stuff kind of happens in about maybe like 15 seconds as you see Zoe, you see the cliffs, you see Newt riding some like kelpie sea beast underwater. So a lot of what like gets thrown at us quickly. What did you guys think of all that?
First, off the top of my head, you're saying a kelpie sea beast. There's actually a thing that existed in, I want to say Greek mythology that was called a kelpie.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think it looked anything like what they're portraying there.
Well,
but it was some kind of seahorse.
Isn't Kelpie one of the beasts in the Fantastic Beasts book?
Potentially. I didn't do my background research again for this. And
Unprepared.
I definitely blame myself. But I mean, that looked definitely fun. Like whatever is causing that to happen, I'm curious and happy to see what gets us there.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So it's like so there's some of that stuff happens right before we see those like circus-ish scenes that we first mentioned. It looks like we get that's when we get our first shot of Queenie actually quickly. And there's somebody looking at like, I mean, it's hard to, however you want to, there's a lot of different ways you could describe it, but a guy in a dark tunnelish kind of looking room looking at writing all over a wall where there's like graphs and writing and lots of things. I mean, like I said, that typical middle of the trailer montage where you're not really sure what you're seeing. They're just throwing a lot of stuff at you.
Yeah, that shot kind of interests me. The mystery of whatever is going on there got me. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's Dumbledore, but I don't think that's his writing on the wall.
Looks like the same hat.
So my guess is that that's Grindelwald's formula to obtain the power from the Obscurus.
Ooh, okay. Like a way to harness it.
Like it?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. There's a lot more. Like I'm kind of curious as to what the people floating in the bubbles are, but I think my guess would be that that's probably not that significant. It's somewhat, just related to, like, maybe it's like a wizarding circus. It's their version of that, and maybe it's not that significant. Pickett makes a cameo.
Mm-hmm.
Pickett the bow truckle. I'm assuming it's the same one from the first movie, so we know he's around. And then after they kind of throw all that at us, I think then it kind of gets into like that third act, culminate the tension part of the trailer where, and Brian, Mike, I think this is something you brought up earlier about, like, will we potentially see Beauxbatons interaction if this is, taking place in France? So you see two people who are helming a Thestral drawn flying carriage. And we've seen Thestrals before. The only time we saw a flying carriage, however, was when the Beauxbatons folks arrived to Hogwarts in Goblet of Fire.
Goblet of Fire, yeah.
And then as the people are leaving on that Thestral flying carriage, there are two other people. It's real quick. I didn't notice it till like the third time around. There's two people that are following them on brooms.
Brooms, yep.
So,
were we able to discern who those people were? I thought it was too quick for me to see. I only watched the trailer once, though.
So as it goes, and then it I think combined with that, and then something that closes out the trailer, I think the two people on the Thestral carriage are Newt and his brother.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I managed to freeze frame right on them.
Okay.
They're not. It looks like the two people on the carriage may be Beauxbaton's guards. They're wearing matching clothes.
Okay.
And they have a very Beauxbaton's kind of short cloak feel. Like the cloak stops at the elbows kind of thing.
Okay.
Going on. So it has a very Beauxbaton's feel and color. Like the type of color you would expect the men to be wearing at Beauxbaton's as opposed to the blue.
Oh.
It's more of a grayish color.
Yeah.
And if they were guards at Beauxbaton's, as opposed, because it's an all-girls school, presumably, since that's all we ever see of Beauxbaton's.
Yeah.
That's all we ever know of Beauxbaton's.
Well, it is, in the books it's described as a co-ed school. Because there are...
In the books it is.
Yes.
But in the movies, we never see women.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of which one you want to take is they're following, but at the same time, they're wearing matching, very Beauxbaton's-esque stuff.
Okay. And I might be with you on that, because the next image that it pours into is the first good shot that we get of Johnny Depp as Grindelwald at this point, and it looks like they're inside that flying carriage to me. Again, could be creative cutting, but I think maybe the people flying behind them on the brooms
it looks like a carriage.
Yeah, it's the security guards. It's the people following them en route to wherever they're going with their prisoner.
That's a good call.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
After I was not a fan of how Johnny Depp looked in those closing moments of the first Fantastic Beasts movie. I thought the choice of like the shaved head and the little like slicked hair, and he was so washed out.
The haircut didn't work.
Yeah. I was not a fan. So like a couple years later, he's maybe been in prison for a little while. What do you guys think of this like fleeting shot we get of him? Are we liking this better?
Vast improvement.
Honestly, I love it. He looks like he could be a Pirates of the Caribbean villain for himself.
That's going to be the next one. You know that, right? He's going to play like three different parts. No, I'm joking.
Oh,
but that
man.
Jack Sparrow versus Evil
He
Jack.
could do it, though.
Not even Evil Jack, but just some
Nega
foil
Jack.
to himself.
Naked Jack.
Yeah, so actually that part of the trailer is where I think it leaves off the most interesting part, that will, maybe be able to kind of sum up the discussion with.
Real quick, Josh, before you get into the last shot.
Yeah.
The one right after Grindelwald in the carriage.
Yeah.
shadowy setting of Newt and Dumbledore. I think that coincides with the Illuminator. I was real foggy.
I'm playing it.
Okay.
Oh, is it like
Agreed.
talking in the fog?
Yeah. So when they were taking
yeah.
out the lights and we saw two figures, I think this is more confirmation these are the two figures that are in that shot.
Oh, okay. Those are connected. Okay, I could buy that.
And I'll also say they don't necessarily look very friendly together in that shot.
Looks a little tense.
Like the look that Newt's giving him is more of one of contempt than one of friendship.
Well,
Okay.
if the voiceover is what is happening in that scene, then Dumbledore is telling him to go after Grindelwald.
Yes.
So for a person that may not be very confrontational, that's probably not news you want to hear.
And this, I think, is a very key point that I did not think would be included. So the right after, as he's finishing that voiceover and speaking to Newt, it then goes right to a scene where, and I think this is, Mike, where you thought was at Hogwarts later. You see the two people kind of doing...
Yeah, that's the one I thought.
Yeah, this, like, I don't say, like, fire move by any means, but they do this really cool-looking thing with, like, they're side by side, they got both wands.
Looks like they're putting up a barrier.
Yeah, they jam them into the ground. It looks really sweet. Those, I think, definitely... Well, obviously it is Newt there. I think the other guy is his brother.
Fair enough.
I could see that.
Because he's mentioned in the previous movie. I know he's cast in this movie, and I know the actor who's playing him, and he looks very similar to that actor. So I'm going to assume it's the two of them that you see there. Now, what I thought was the interesting point was Dumbledore telling him, I can't go after Grindelwald, you have to do it. Now, we know why he's saying I can't go after Grindelwald, and I don't think the rest of the world knows. This is the point where I think not only do they not know that they know each other, they definitely don't know the relationship that they had, or even the relationship that Dumbledore, like the feeling that Dumbledore had for him. So just to recap maybe from a prior discussion, after the last Harry Potter book was released, and everyone knew the final story, J.K. revealed at like a Q&A type of thing that Dumbledore was a gay man and he had romantic feelings for Grindelwald. During their teenage years together, he never basically fell out of love with him. And that is the reason that when the Wizarding World was begging him to stop Grindelwald from what he was doing to the world, Dumbledore resisted because he couldn't bring himself to face this person that he never really let go of these feelings for, even though he knew everything the guy had been doing for decades.
See, I didn't know that. That's news to me.
Yes. It's not part of the books. It's just one of those things that if you're into this stuff, you learn it through like extended universe crap and interviews and all that sort of thing. So my question would be, is it pretty selfish of Dumbledore to send the magical zoologist after like the pre-Voldemort?
I mean, I also think that he also is, he's very aware that Newt is much more than a zoologist.
That he has certain capabilities,
than a zoologist.
But I guess if the world sees you, Dumbledore, as the most powerful and the best option to, go after the Hitler, so to speak, and you're like, yeah, I hear ya, but you know who's also really good? My friend Newt. So there's got to be somebody in between there that, he could recruit, for instance. So this is going to bleed. Oh, sorry, Andy, you go ahead because I have a big prediction. Go ahead.
So in the trailer, does he actually say you need to go after Grindelwald specifically? Or does he just say you need to go after him?
He says, and I wrote it down. He says, I can't. This is Dumbledore talking to Newt. And even though it starts as a voiceover, then you get the scene of them speaking to each other, then it finishes with a voiceover. The line, he says, I can't move against Grindelwald, it has to be you.
Oh, okay.
And he's saying that to Newt.
Okay.
And then that's when you get the shot of him and his brother doing whatever they're doing, I agree with Mike, that it looks like they're trying to put up some kind of barrier of some kind. It looks to be that's some kind of confrontation, whether it's with Grindelwald or something else. But
so I got a theory.
Yes, shoot.
When Dumbledore's getting questioned, this could just depend on when they put this scene of Dumbledore talking to Newt.
Yeah.
Let's say that opens the movie. So the Ministry of Magic or whoever is questioning Dumbledore says that they are looking for Newt, who is working under Dumbledore's orders. Could this be the order that Newt goes after Grindelwald, fails, and because he tries to take out a prisoner, something like that, and fails, that maybe they're after him now?
Potentially. One of my predictions, or at least I think has a strong possibility, Newt does have children eventually. In the lore, I believe Luna Lovegood ends up marrying his grandson. So he has children and he has a family at some point. I'm wondering, I don't think Newt makes it out of this alive. Maybe
this movie or the series?
The series. At the very least, the series. And potentially, maybe his death is one of the catalyzing things, depending on how long that takes. Maybe that's one of the catalyzing last things that causes Dumbledore to say, I can't ignore this anymore, I need to step up.
Okay.
That's fair. One thing that I'll say, since I know we're going to lose Andy soon, that I'd like to get his perspective on, and all of yours, that we're not necessarily addressing here, that perhaps needs to be addressed, is the Deathly Hallows. Now, if you pause this trailer at the right time,
yep,
you can see the mark of the Deathly Hallows in the smoke and fog and whatever you want to call that magic.
I was pretty proud of myself that I recognized that when I watched the trailer.
I think that was my favorite little quick moment of that, the use of that.
Right, and it's just a flash.
Yeah. It's right at the end.
That's telling you
it's at
Dumbledore
like
and Grindelwald have...
143, I think. 142, 143.
Yes. 143 is where I paused it.
Yeah.
Snagged it. So, the two of them, at this time and for a long time, were involved in that hunt for the Deathly Hallows.
Yes.
We know that Dumbledore actually eventually gets the Elder Wand from Grindelwald.
Who, at this point, I would say, not only has it already, but has had it for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The things we don't know is how long Dumbledore has had the Resurrection Stone. Because he gives it to Harry.
We don't know. He doesn't find it until right before Half-Blood Prince. Because he finds it in the Gaunt's shack when he's going around looking and tracing Voldemort's history.
Oh, that's true. And we also are led to assume that Harry is a direct descendant of one of the Peverell brothers.
Right.
Ignatus, right?
Yes.
And that's how he winds up with the cloak.
Right.
Is that it was passed down through time, just
through
in
family.
His family, all the way down to him.
So at this point,
but
his
that's assumed,
grandfather or great-grandfather would have it, yeah.
Right. But that's what I mean. Like, it's assumed, but not confirmed.
Sure.
But that also means that in our search, because Grindelwald obviously is going to break free from his captivity at some point,
mm-hmm.
in his search, we may see a Potter in these movies.
Ooh, okay. I like it.
And that was one thing that struck out to me, is if they're going to show him searching for the cloak, can he figure out that a Potter has it?
So maybe Harry's grandfather?
Maybe
yeah.
The Harry we see at the very end of the 8th movie, at the very end of Deathly Hallows Part 2. Maybe they do him up a little bit more to look a little bit older, and they throw him in there for the hell of it.
Oh god, did they have Radcliffe do it? Oh no, that would pull everybody out in an instant.
Yeah, it would. It'd be funny, though.
But no, I like the idea of integrating the Hallows tangent of it in some kind of way, and it intersecting with his ancestry in some way.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing we never actually got is whether or not that ancestry, I don't believe we ever got it, whether it was to Potter or whether it was to Lily.
Lily was Potter, because Lily was Muggle-born.
Oh yeah, that's right.
She was the first.
Okay, that's why they didn't qualify it as one or the other, because they didn't have to.
Yeah. So
Got it.
But no, that's all great. And Andy, I know you gotta get going. Any closing thoughts or theories that you want us to harp on for a while?
No, I don't think so.
Was it a lot of the ideas you threw out? Like, I don't, even if they don't make that version of the movie, I think we should figure out how to do it ourselves, because those are really good.
Now you've just ruined it for Josh. If they don't do those in the movies, he's going to be real upset.
Yeah, now I've created an artificial source material.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in, oh, they did, you know what, they changed it from the book.
Was just trying to predict what was going to happen.
No, it was good. Those are excellent points. It's way better. I had so much of myself I was taking in what I was seeing, but I'm honestly, it's weird. I'm trying not to think about it too much, because I almost don't want to create what I want to happen or what I think is going to happen,
right,
because I'm going to make these benchmarks.
Right, and then you'll have expectations, and sometimes when things don't meet your expectations, you feel very let down. So,
but sometimes
The Last Jedi and all the butthurt fans about that.
yes.
But then sometimes things exceed expectations.
Yes, but it's
that's an Owl joke.
That's
for
a very
out there.
very
Or a newt.
frail seesaw, I want to say, or that's not the right word, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So yeah, that's great. I don't. Do you guys have any other points or tangents that you wanted to go on? Otherwise, we actually might be able to wrap it up.
I got nothing else.
That I could think of.
Awesome. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna probably I'll watch this like 10 more times, but I'll probably try to avoid like long form trailers.
Every time Josh needs his fix, he just fires this up again.
Yeah, like, and honestly, like, that'll kind of satiate me. And now I have to wait until November, so I got another, it's like reset the clock. Like, Avengers was like 4 to 5 months to avoid, and now it's like 8 until November 16th. Yeah, it's like 8 months to the day.
I've got a good plan for you to get you to Avengers. Every time you get that feeling like you want to watch the Avengers trailer,
slap yourself in the face.
Wow. There's that. I was going to put on
the Harry Potter trailer.
Yeah, watch this one. Just watch this one every time that comes up.
I'm getting the feeling that Mike is a little bit more my friend right now. But,
negative reinforcement. It works.
So yeah, I mean, I'm glad. I know we haven't really done Potter news and discussion in a long while, and I'm glad it's actually got a lot more in depth than I thought it might. But I think I got my fix for quite a while, so I hope everybody enjoyed it. And
yeah, it was fun.
Here's start the countdown till November.
I told you, we always come into these trailer sort of breakdowns as like, oh, we're gonna do it for like an hour. We won't talk more than an hour. 2 to 3 hours later, we're like, what the fuck just happened? I blacked out. So yeah, this is no different.
Frank the Tank moment.
Yeah, but if we're done, I'll close this down with the normal shit.
Yep.
And so yeah, if you've enjoyed the show, please stop by iTunes. You can leave us a 5-star rating and review. Be sure to share, subscribe, favorite the show wherever you decide to listen to us, even if it's not iTunes, anywhere else you find us. You can always find us on Facebook, search Bry Guy and Super Friends, or go to facebook.com/Bry Guy Super Friends.
And don't forget, once the episode posts on Facebook in the comments section, if you can identify my opening line, please do.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what. I will make good on this. If you know it, and if you identify it, again, honor code. If you know it and you get it right, I will buy your ticket for Fantastic Beasts.
Oh shit!
Damn.
There's an incentive.
The gauntlet has been thrown.
So get on the social media for the page, interact, and there's a carrot on the end of that stick for you.
This is where we actually find out if people actually listen all the way to the end of these episodes. If they stopped halfway through, they will never get this little carrot.
It's like in college or something when that like one professor in a million gives you that syllabus and the last line is like bring this to me at the beginning of, like, bring this to my office and you get $5.
Yeah.
I think you should preface it by saying the first person to get it right, you'll buy their ticket. Rather than just saying, I'll buy your ticket, because...
Yeah, once the first answer is up there,
One-person
everyone's just going to keep posting. You're going to owe everybody like
That's
$5.
true. That is a good point. All right, so, again, Mike's my friend. He's looking out for me.
I'm just going to let this roll, because I don't think we're going to get any comments, so...
That's good. That's good. Yeah, if you're the first, and disclaimer, you can't be my wife, because I know she knows the answer. And
you're going to buy her ticket anyway.
Buying that ticket anyway.
Yeah, it's both of our money anyway, so it doesn't matter. So anyone else other than my wife, I will cover your movie ticket.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Even if it's D-Box?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, so speaking of the Facebook page, you can send us questions, comments, topic suggestions, any of that stuff there. Email us, bryguysuperfriends@gmail.com, or hit us up on Twitter @BGSuperfriends there. And that should wrap it up. On behalf of Andy, Josh, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Obliviate!